Hello, my name is Luisa Bersanetti, and I'm glad to be here with you today. I'm part of Bologna Fiere, the organizer of Zoomark International, and I work as exhibition manager for the show.
Hello, everyone. My name is Rowena Artz. I'm working for ZZFW as Director Exhibitions, and in this regard, I'm also responsible for Interzoo and Interzoo Academy, and I'm very happy to be here today.
Hello, everybody, and thanks for having me. This is Paola Cane. I'm a consultant, advisor, and author in pet food and food sector.
Yeah, okay. Then we can start with our agenda, which we have 5 topics that should be very interesting to hear from you now, how the developments are in your countries. Let's start with the pet population. Do you regularly follow up on the developments of the pet population in Italy and Germany? And if so, through which tools and how often? Luisa.
Yeah, on occasion of Zoomark International, every 2 years, we present the Asalco Zoomark report. It contains the market data and statistics on the latest development of the Italian market. The report is by Asalco, which is the Italian Association of Pet Food and Pet Care Industry, IRI, and the Italian Association of Veterinary Doctors, ANMVI. So all data on the Italian market, which you will hear during this session, have been presented at Zoomark International last week and refer to data processed by Asalco from IRI sources.
Yeah, and in Germany, we have a quite similar situation. ZZF always releases a new study on the pet population at the occasion of Interzoo. We designed this study together with another German association, EVH, and we use a very renowned market research institute to really to compile these data and to analyze it. And in addition, of course, we work also with further resources, other reports, in order to follow up really very closely the developments in the market. So we do primary research and desk research, of course.
To get European aggregate data, we match different sources in order to have every point of view on a national base. And we base on Nielsen and RI data from different countries, and then we work them out together.
How had those numbers developed in recent years before the pandemic? Have there been any significant changes induced by the pandemic?
Well, the number of pets in Italy saw a steady growth before the pandemic, and Italy still confirms to be a pet-friendly country. During the pandemic, we saw an increase of pet population, reaching over 62 million pets in 2021. And over 16 million are dogs and cats, namely dogs, 8.2 million, and cats, almost 8 million. For the rest of pets, almost 30 million are fishes, 13 million birds. Then small mammals and reptiles comes next with 1.8 million and 1.3 million respectively. However, we see that in 2021, there's a slight decrease of these numbers. Then if we talk about pet adoptions during pandemic, dogs and cats are seen to be increased by 15% over 2019. And this makes over 12 million families buying pet food and accessories. So compared to 2020, it's 1 million families more, which are made of people with a medium-high economic conditions. And that's an interesting profile in terms of spending capacity and preference for high-quality products.
Yeah, and for Germany, we could also see a rise in the pet numbers. So we could see that the pet population raised from 2018 from 34.4 million pets to 34.9 million pets in 2020. We'll have to wait, of course, what's happening in 2021, how the numbers are going to develop there. What is quite interesting is that we can see that the numbers of households keeping pets has increased. So we see now in 2018, we had 45% of the households had pets, and now we have 48%. So we can see that there's already an increase. We can also see that the numbers of pets adopted by families have significantly increased. Currently, we have 66% of the pets are adopted by families. That's an increase of 13%. So we can see that here actually it is important for the families that their kids grow up with a furry family member. The statistics, when we talk about the numbers, they don't include fish and they don't include terraria animals. This is then a slight difference. What we can see all in all, that 22% of the households in Germany keep more than one pet. So we see also that often households who have one pet soon will have a second one. We see here a very strong combination. And if we talk about the pet numbers, you can see that here on the screen, the difference in the numbers between cats and dogs. Mammals make up to 5 million. Then we have birds, fish, and we have, of course, reptiles and terraria animals.
For what concerns Europe, we have a population of 723 million citizens. With this population, Europe has an estimated pet population of over 306 million pets, considering dogs, cats, but even the small mammals, birds, reptiles, and ornamental fishes. The interest in pet adoption during the pandemic and in the latest 18 months really contributed to the growth of the pet population in Europe. And that was even more so if we consider that the new habits, such as working at home and having much more time to take care about their pets, contributed to the growth of the pet population in Europe.
Oh, that's interesting. Which general conclusions can be drawn from this situation for the situation in Europe?
Despite the lack of official European data, because we do not have registries in Europe that are frequently updates, we can say that the European acquiring new pets in general are between 80% and 15% during the COVID pandemic. Pet demographic growing so much is a good news, not only for the market side and the turnover side, because it shows an interesting potential, but it makes clear that pets are playing an important role in supporting health and mental and physical health of their pet parents in Europe. So it's kind of a new statement that contributes to make it clear that pets are really important in supporting pet owners and their, let's say, the benefit they bring. It's really paramount.
Yeah, definitely. Which pet is the Italians, Germans' favorite, and which can be named Europe's favorite pet?
So in Italy, if we consider dogs and cats, we own more dogs, 8.2 million, even if the number of cats is almost equal, 8 million. So I would say that Italians' favorite pet is dog. 67% of Italian families live with them, and while 60% live with a cat or more. However, on a population of 59 million inhabitants, Italians reach a ratio 1-to-1 with pet population. And looking at it as a whole, Italian families are also keen to have birds and fishes in their homes.
when we speak about Germany, it's the cats who are leading or having the favorite position there. So we have about 15.7 million cats in Germany in the households, and we can see an increase, especially from 2018 to 2020. There are almost 1 million more cats in the German household. And if we see the numbers of dogs compared to that, we have about 10 million, 10.7 million dogs in German households. So it's also a very, very favorite pet. And especially, I have to underline what Paola said, just on the European scale. I think dogs have been very, very important for the health of people also during the pandemic. Yeah, they're as well very much loved by German households and families.
From the European point of view, cats are, let's say, the favorite European pets. We have almost 88 million of dogs and cats households in Europe, but cats are a lot, much more than dogs. And the percentage of European citizens and households owning at least one cat or dog is really high, is 38%.
Thank you. Then let's start on the next topic, which looks at the sales revenues. Following the growing numbers of pets in Italy, Germany, and all over Europe, do sales of products correspond to that?
Yes, they do. In Italy, both on sales and volume, because the sales of pet food increased by 8%, reaching 2.4 billion euros turnover. And also the volume of sales increased to over 660 tons. So that is 5.7% over 2020. The interesting part is that the main increase happened on value rather than volume. Because people buy premium and high quality food and follow the emerging trends such as free from and vegan food and prefer small formats. Then on accessories altogether, this sector is worth 830 million euro and has increased both on value and volume.
Well, and if we speak about the German market, we can also say definitely yes, there has been an increase. So the increase in the German market is about 4.3%. The German market is the second largest market. If you compare it all over Europe, the largest one is the UK. And in 2020, the sales numbers added up to 5.5 billion. In Germany, so almost 5.5 billion. And if you take a closer look, we can see that the main source, of course, is pet food with about 4.3 million. And then we have the pet accessories with almost 1.1 million. And there is also online sales, which are not included here in this statistics, which would have to be added. And for comparison, if we take a look at 2018, we can see an increase of 1.5% before a steady increase, and we had sales revenues of 4.9 billion. So yes, we can see an increase. And I also have to say there has been also a strong increase in spendings quality-wise. So it's not only related to the quantity, but also to the quality. So same trend as in Italy here. Well, here are some more numbers on the pet food. If you go through the different categories, you can see it's divided by dog food, cat food, and bird food. And if you see here the different numbers, we have also listed the numbers for fish and other pet food. You can see that the spendings, we said that cat is the favorite animal of the Germans, also is 1.6. Whereas the spendings for the dog is 1.5, where you also have always to take the size of an animal into consideration. Dogs have normally are often bigger than cats, so we see here higher numbers. And you have the numbers for birds, in total 76, as well as the numbers for fish and other pet food. And if we talk about accessories and see the sales here, we can see as well strong changes in the accessories for spendings for cats and dogs. You can see we have an increase here by plus 4.7 or plus 4.8%. We see also cat litter is quite important with an increase of 2.8, and you can see all over that there's a complete, in the accessory sector, an increase of 3.5 compared to the previous analysis of the data in 2018. So yeah, strong increase for pet accessories as well.
Mm-hmm.
So for what concerns the European perspective, it's not so different from the German and the Italian one. Both pet food and pet care market have grown during the last 18 months. And if we consider the size of the market, the most relevant category in European pet products is dog and cat food. That had a general increase of 4.5% in sales, with growing values, so growing turnover, but steady volumes. This is due to the fact, as Rowena said, that many pet owners are shifting to smallest breeds but quality product. So they spend much more and looking for premium products. During this year, in 2021, the main distribution channels, so considering grocery, traditional pet shop and pet shop chains, reached in Europe sales for 21.8 billion euros, corresponding to a total of 8.5 tons of dog and cat food.
Yeah, I think you've answered already my next question in part, but can you maybe go a bit more into detail concerning the strongest increase in sales? Which products are the strongest? Is it toys, food, or accessories?
In Italy, we see an increase on cat food sales. Cat food covers over 50% of the total pet food market. Especially cat wet food had a big increase of 9% over 2020. The positive trend is also confirmed for treats, 13.6%. And it's interesting that cat treats are still a small segment in Italy, but it's growing almost 30% on mass distribution. Then also products for hygiene and daily care increased during the pandemic due to the numbers of pets and more time pet parents have to spend playing with their pets. And the increase is 4% in value and 7% in volume. And finally, cat litters also confirm the positive trend and a steady growth of 4.6% over 2020.
For what concerns the European, let's say, point of view, during 2020, it's very interesting to see what happened to the pet care and accessories segment, because the entire segment underwent a slight decline at the beginning of the pandemic. The decrease was due to the fact that many non-essential shops and ale were banned to the consumer. So even in groceries and pet food, even if they were open during the lockdown, consumer couldn't buy non-essential products during the first lockdown. On top of that, the sector has suffered a lot from the cargo crisis that affected the Eastern Asia routes. So the segment was really badly affected. But nevertheless, the segment grew, and let's say the results of the first semester of this year are very positive, because the growth in general in Europe is plus 17. During the first phases of the lockdown, the only segment growing in pet care and accessories were the one linked to health and hygiene, such as pet wipes, disinfectants, and so on.
If I may add to this in a small comment, like in Germany, the situation was a little bit different, since the pet retail stores could stay open during the pandemic because they were regarded essential. We could also see a plus in the accessories here. So probably Germany was there a little bit an exception in the all over European market. We could even see that there's from a slight reduction that there's a slight increase. So because people stayed at home, they bought also more accessories, and they were in the position to buy because the retail stores remained open. But probably here we are really an exception to the overall trend.
Yeah, in Europe, all the pet shops remain open, but in some countries, it was forbidden the sale of non-essential products. So this was really affecting the first period in France, in Italy, and in Spain. But generally, after that, we had a steady growth of the pet accessories and pet care. We see very good performances, especially in toys, because people spend much more time, playing and entertaining with their pets.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Last question concerning sales revenues. Can you please give us an outlook on the future development of the pet market in your countries?
In Italy, we foreseen a reduced growth of the market compared to the boom that we experienced during the first period of the pandemic in 2019, 2020. And then the market will return to a more stable growth over the future. However, Italians are more conscious and educated on animal health, and this will bring them to buy more premium and functional food and food for special diets. And also the improvement and development of the veterinary sector reflects the growing attention and consciousness of pet parents. Then finally, the investment on products innovation and technology by manufacturers confirm the market is getting more sophisticated.
Yeah, and if we talk about Germany, we also can see that there will be a moderate slowdown, just because also people have piled some products already there. So some purchases have been just done in advance, but we can see a moderate slowdown. But we are very positive that we will reach the 6 billion threshold in Germany also by the year of 2025. So we will see a further increase in this market. However, the increase will slow down a bit. That's the projection for the moment.
In general, as COVID-19 crisis unfolded, short-term effects of the pandemic were mixed in Europe. While at the beginning of the pandemic, containment measures have forced many companies to remain closed for weeks because they had health issues inside the production plants, during the last 18 months, pet industries were forced to face many other crises, let's say, and challenges, such as the raw material price increase, which is terrific during these days, but also the container crisis and some supply chain disruptions. Nevertheless, our industry is really strong and shows great resilience. For the next year, even though the third quarter of this year results are positive and encouraging, we have to take a look and be very careful, because we might be facing a general decline in disposable income of the consumers and a general increase of prices, which can lead to a slightly decrease of the turnover.
Okay, thank you. Then let's move on to our next topic on the agenda. That's concerning the distribution channels. How are the distribution channels traditionally structured in Europe and in your country? Can you give a little more insight into the specifics and characteristics of these sales channels, please?
I wish to start from the European distribution channel because it's really different. The German and the Italian perspective are really different. I think that distribution channels in Europe are quite varied, and in some countries, such as in Germany or in Great Britain, sales are also in veterinary clinics, and they play a very important role, especially in addressing consumer to certain brands and certain products. While in other countries, this channel doesn't exist, but it's developing a new hybrid channel, which is, let's say, at the middle between the normal retail and the specialized pet shop. So I will talk more about the European perspective, but some differences that Luisa and Rowena will enlighten are especially due to the fact that European channels are very, very different from country to country.
Yeah, in Italy, the grocery is the first channel for pet food. And this channel includes supermarkets, discounts, and retailers, and makes 56% of total pet food turnover. Inside grocery, discount is catching up with double-digit growth and increase of 18% turnover on dog and cat food. These results are given to price convenience and the ability to develop marketing strategies to catch consumers' loyalty in recent years. Then the remaining 44% of the market is made by pet shops, pet shop chains, and mass distribution pet shops, but also we see the emerging online channel.
And if we turn to Germany, the main sales channels for pet supplies in Germany are really also stationary retail shops, pet stores, garden and DIY stores, followed by supermarket, drugstores, and discount stores. But of course, if you need specialized products, you always turn to a specialized brick and mortar shop. E-commerce is gaining slowly also more significance. You can see this, that you either have specialized platforms or that in general platforms, retailers and producers are offering their products.
So in Europe, marketplaces for pet food and pet care are really rising during this period, both in number of brick and mortar point of purchase, both in characteristic, positionment, and concept. But the most important innovation that we are witnessing is for sure the digital side, because during the last year, pet shops change and even, let's say, online retailer have been characterized by a very steady growth of sales of pet food and pet products on the internet.
Mm-hmm. And have there been any significant changes to the retail for pet products within the last years? How has the pandemic influenced distribution channels within the pet industry? And do you recognize a rise of online channels maybe?
Yes, Italian pet shops make the highest profits over volumes because they're able to bring services and innovations to customers. Then on the second level, pet shop chains and mass distribution pet shops chains are steadily growing because they have a wide offer of specific products and the convenience in buying. In Italy, there's also a growth of mass distribution pet shop chains. They are capable of developing and delivering services for customers. And also specialized shops for personal care and household. They offer a wide stock at convenient price, especially hygiene and sanitation products. Also, these shops perform very well during the pandemic. Then private label is growing also in premium and super premium, free from food. And finally, Italy had a strong rise of e-commerce and specialized marketplace. The big revenues are developed not only from vertical e-commerce by specialized retailers, but also from mass distribution e-commerce, both on pet food and pet care products. Before the pandemic, the online channel had a very limited use in Italy by consumers, while in 2020 it experienced a 3-digit growth, even though its value is still less than 5% on our total market.
From the whole European point of view, let's say that at the beginning of the pandemic, maybe brick and mortar shop have been a little bit penalized by their location, because especially in Middle Europe, so Germany, France, Austria, and Italy, pet shop chains and garden centers have been penalized by their location because they are very far from town centers. So they have been a little bit struggling with that. But in the last months, they have been growing again. Let's say that the major growth that we are witnessing is again the online shopping service, which is developed by historical operators that already work in the sector as brick and mortar traders, but also by newcomers, new companies that are creating new businesses around dogs and cats. And in my opinion, although we have not yet reached the situation of the USA, we are taking that direction with internet shops that have specific formats, precise identity, huge catalog and product portfolio, exactly if they were physical stores with extremely selective products.
We can see that e-commerce is gaining also in Germany more and more importance. However, statistic-wise, we don't have yet a differentiation according to species. The numbers I have shown you before, the sales numbers, there we could clearly see in brick and mortar stores what are the sales numbers and what are the sales revenues. So we could clearly indicate that, and we could clearly see what increase has been made. If we now go and see the online world, we can add up the sales in Germany to approximately 822 million euros of sales revenues. However, here we cannot say we have an increase of X and Y% in the last time. So we are missing here specific numbers in order to give a more accurate picture. But we can clearly see that wherever it is convenience, and if you have heavy goods and standardized goods, people turn to use more also the internet as a trade channel.
And do you think e-commerce in the pet industry is just a short-term trend, or do you see a long-lasting potential there?
For sure, e-commerce is not a short-term trend, and it will keep very dynamic. But retailers will have to go along with it, trying to develop new strategies and services to increase customers' loyalty. Then traditional outlets will have the chance to have a say in the context where shopkeepers, specialization, and neighborhood trade are in general increasingly important. Then finally, new interactions are needed between e-commerce and retailers. They will involve logistics services and packaging.
Yeah. And I can underline what Luisa just said. Also for Germany, I think it's especially the convenience goods, the standardized goods. These are the ones who will benefit the most from the internet and the developments there. The more specialized it gets, the more people need a consultancy, the more they will turn also still to specialized jobs.
So for what concerns the European point of view, I totally agree with Rowena and Luisa, because I think that what we are seeing now with the rise of the e-commerce is not just a short-term trend. It is, if we think about it, it's not a new phenomenon due to COVID-19, but it was a phenomenon that existed long before and that the pandemic contributed to accelerate. So the so-called digital revolution or digital default will, let's say, just has anticipated the rise that we were expecting in the next 5 years. So I think that is going to be part of the next normal.
Yeah. Thank you. Then let's move on to our next topic, trends. As we already know, people are spending more and more money on their furry friends. Which trends influence customers the most in your country?
Italian customers, they care about health and well-being of their pets. They are part of the family, so customers are oriented to the composition of a high-value trolley. They choose the premium, high-quality products, dietary foods for specific pathologies, and they choose emerging trends such as natural, vegan, vegetarian, gluten-free, grain-free food with a single protein source or formulated with selected raw materials.
Yeah, and also for Germany, we can clearly see 3 trends, which I would like to name by just capture by just 3 keywords. The one is humanization, the second one is premiumization, and the third one is sustainability. I mean, humanization, we see more and more that animals are really treated, pets are really treated like members of the family, which also has a strong indication on quality products and quality aspects, and also the way the products I buy for the nutrition of the pet. I just want that my pet is as healthy as I am. I take care much more, so I really consider them as part of the family, and this has an impact on the buying decision. So the choice of products might change here, and the way I actually live with my animal. The second aspect is the premiumization, which is also linked to the humanization, because if I regard my pet as a member of the family, I also look for higher quality products. So we will have a growth also in the premium sector. Of course, we will also still have the sector for general pet food, because we have different buying powers, but who can afford that? We will see clearly a premiumization of products. And last but not least, we see sustainability as a trend, people asking also, or being more conscious about environment, being more conscious about sustainable aspects. So we can also see here a slight move that sustainability gets more important. We have actually undertaken also specific researches on the topic of sustainability, interviewing exhibitors and visitors from Interzoo, and just also released a study on that topic, which can also be found on Interzoo Academy. So sustainability is the third trend I would name for Germany.
In Europe, let's say, among all the major consumer trends that we saw during the last 18 months, I would mention 3 of them. The first 2 are back to nature and back to home. They seem to be opposite, but in a certain way, they are the same, different faces of the same coin. In fact, during the lockdown, we discovered, on one hand, the pleasure of doing activities at home with our pets. So training, cooking, snacking with the pets, and playing with them, even at home. And on the other side, being forced to stay inside developed a huge desire of outdoor living that has shaped consumers' preferences, starting from natural ingredient to accessories and tools designed to live outdoor. The third trend, which is common to all European markets, is health and wellness, which is very important because consumers are even more so aware of what their pets need, what they need to eat, and what they need to consume in order to be healthy every day.
Thank you. Which significance do you see for sustainable development and fabrication in your respective pet markets?
So in Italy, we care for more sustainable production methods. They are sought in what concern the life of our pets, and it's by far the main concern in mass distribution. It makes a big share of our pet food sales. Customers are more sensible for responsible production models and sustainability. The trend is towards a sustainable supply of raw materials, sustainable products, productions and packs, especially with the rise of e-commerce. An example is the growing demand for compostable bags and accessories produced with natural fibers or made with sustainable raw materials such as vegetable cat litters.
And I think for Germany, it is the same actually. And there's a quote I really like from McKinsey and Company on this already from 2011, and I really think it's a very good one. The choice for companies today is not if, but how they should manage their sustainability activities. I think we can see now also in the pet industry that this topic is arriving there. We have some companies already working on a carbon neutral production, and we can see like on the side of the producers that they are taking care about energy consumptions and also materials. There's a discussion what can we do on packaging. Of course, there are also some limits just because of the way the product needs to be transported and stored. But we can see that the producers are thinking about that topic, and the retailers are also thinking more and more about the topics as they are questioned by the customers. So it is the same areas as Luisa just indicated. I think the same is true for Germany. What about Europe?
Yeah, I totally agree with you, Rowena, because we are talking about sustainability from many years by now. So we cannot think that it's a trend no more, it's an imperative. I mean, today, especially considering European community, thinking about sustainability is also a problem and a matter of regulatory pressure, because the European Commission is driving industries to manage climate change and to adopt waste reduction measures and sustainable measures for their production. So it's very important to be able to plan a green agenda in every industry, even in the pet food sector. And I'm pretty convinced that it's also a commercial imperative, as consumers are more and more looking for green products and more aware of climate change and environmental problems. So sustainable sourcing needs to take into account many factors. It's not an easy target. We have to take in account environmental effect of farming and manufacturing practices, welfare of the animals used as protein sources, and overall the nutritional contents of the ingredients we use. So it's going to be a great challenge, but it's a good one. And from my side, what we see is that during this year, a lot of new green claims and green products have been launched on the market in Europe.
And which trends do you think will be the most important in the future?
Well, humanization is by far the main driver behind the Italian customers' behavior. It reflects on all aspects related to the well-being of our pets. And our society cares for more sustainable production methods, and they're all sorting what concerns life of our pets. So health and natural food, sustainable materials, but also technologies and connected accessories for household and smart toys.
Yeah, and from the German side, I have to agree, and I see like all the trends. If you say humanization, premiumization, and sustainability, they all go together in a certain direction. So I think as well, it's very hard to say this one trend is more important than the other. I think they are also reinforcing. But in the end, sustainability should be not only a question of premiumization, it should be more like a general aspect. So that would be a wish I make here, but we see, of course, humanization will induce sustainable trends, will induce as well premiumization in certain segments.
On my side, I think that the challenge is not identifying the right trend that is going to last. As many of us already know, what are the trends that are going to last in the long run, but to understand what to do about that trends. I mean, the real challenge is to understand that we have to be brave, we have to be agile, and we have to be very quick in embracing those trends and giving the consumer what they are looking for. Because this is the most important attitude that we have to keep on the future to bring this sector alive and kicking.
Yeah, I think so too. Then let's move on to marketing strategies. As we just heard about new trends and products as well as alternative distribution channels, can you also tell us something about the development of marketing strategies in recent years?
So Italian brands are investing in research and development, especially looking at new quality of ingredients. This product innovation is accompanied by the search of increasingly advanced and performing sales channels, both on traditional and online. So brands are exploring new ways of digital engagement for pet owners, and they develop integrated offer and combined services. The real new is that from a multi-channel approach, many industries are turning to an omni-channel approach, which is with a high integrated offer and can meet different needs and better engage the customer base.
And also in Germany, we can see the growth of the premium brands on the one hand, but as well we see that there are many customized offerings are growing, such as specific diets, or you just compose your own packaged pet food. So you have the need, you take more into consideration the need of the individual. We see also that private labels are still a trend, especially when we go into the broader market sections. However, I have to agree also what Luisa said with the omni-channel approach. We can see that more and more products go omni-channel. So it's not only that a company decides they only use specialized stores. Now there's like a little bit in everything. So companies have really to rethink their marketing strategies, be broader, be braver, also go new ways of marketing with influencer campaigns. So I can clearly see that there's a change and there's a kind of merge of digital and physical stores, of course.
From my point of view, I believe that the most challenge, although it's being agile and fast, is developing the omni-channel strategies that will include digital as well, especially D2C solution that are growing little by little during these months. And that will be the most important growth opportunity, I think, for medium-sized pet food and pet care companies.
Which role does digitization play in these developments, and which marketing strategies do you see as the core options for the future?
In Italy, digitalization gains an increasing role. It's used especially to engage young generations and collect changes habits of customer and their purchasing behavior. An interesting segment in Italy is made by middle-aged women in a family of 2 people. They made a wide use of social networks and digital platforms, and they have a high spending capacity. And already now, for example, pet shops are trying to make the most of the new digital touch points to build customers' loyalty and enhance the shopping experience. They update the offer with new services such as home delivery and personalized menu. Yeah.
Again, I would say here that Italy and Germany are quite similar in this way. I think customers will benefit from the internet wherever the home delivery makes it very smooth, so that you don't have to carry things, where it's a standardized buying process. And like using Amazon Dash buttons, we have heard about these things, but also like a regular subscription to specific food or to cat litter, which is then very, very convenient. However, when you need a very specific counsel, still people will prefer to go to a specialized shop or ask their vet about things. So the specific counsel is not yet completely arrived online. We see first approaches that you can also have an online counsel, but still people would go for the specific counsel or for also specific experience. We sometimes see now the rise of boutique style shops or shops which also have a certain theme, and there you have like the shopping experience, and this is where really the physical shopping experience will beat the digital shopping experience. But when we talk about fast and easy convenience and processes which are well used, we see that the digital will be on the rise here.
Yeah, on the European side of you, I don't want to repeat what has already been said, because, you know, the digital transformation, it has been very similar in all the European countries. The thing I want to underline is that sometimes digital innovation is a little bit scary, because it requires huge investments and a complete change of business model that is very hard to be kept, especially when thinking about omnichannel strategies and D2C strategies. But I want to be very optimistic in that way, and you know, digitalization is even the way we are here today talking about pet market and pet industries. So we have to think in a very positive way that not being there physically doesn't mean not being effective. It can be a way to share leadership, competences, and positive attitude, talk about products and brands, identity and innovation, even if not in a physical way. So I'm very confident that the digital development will be great in the next 5 years.
Yeah, thank you. This was a really great summary at the end. Thank you very much for your insights, and that's it for today. And thank you for attending. And yeah, I hope to see you all again soon on this channel. Goodbye.
Thank you.
Goodbye. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.